Today we're diving into a really urgent medical mystery that's unfolding right now in Kerala, India. Something that used to be a rare, almost obscure medical case is suddenly exploding into a major public health threat. Yep, we're talking about the brain-eating amoeba, and the whole story has just taken a very, very sharp turn. Just look at these numbers. They tell a pretty frightening story. In 2023, Kerala had just 2 cases. Fast forward 1 year, and that number leaps to 39. And now in 2025, it's surged to over 170 cases. This is not some gradual increase, It's an exponential spike, and it really highlights the urgent threat we need to understand today.
So, what is going on here? What's driving this crazy surge? Well, it looks like it's a combination of 2 really big factors. First, climate change. Rising water temperatures are creating the perfect, cozy breeding ground for this amoeba. And second, we're just getting better at finding it. Improved detection, things like rapid PCR tests, are catching cases that, honestly, might have been missed before. The big takeaway here is that a warming planet isn't just about melting ice caps. It's creating new homes for deadly microbes. And it's turning a once rare disease into a very real and very rapidly emerging threat.
All right, to really understand this threat, we have to get to know the culprit. So let's put our microscopic suspect under the spotlight and see what makes this particular amoeba so uniquely dangerous. Okay, so its scientific name is Naegleria fowleri. It's what you call thermophilic, which is just a fancy way of saying it loves heat. It absolutely thrives in warm fresh water. We're talking lakes, ponds, even temple tanks, which, ironically, are the exact places people go to cool off as the world keeps getting hotter. Now, what's really fascinating is that this amoeba is a shapeshifter. It has 3 different forms. There's the cyst, which is its tough, armored-up survival mode. Then you've got the flagellate, its mobile form, which uses little tails to swim around. But the one you really need to know about is the one in the middle, the trophozoite. This is its active, feeding stage, and it's the only one that attacks the human brain. For years, scientists kinda thought they knew how this amoeba killed. But some brand new research has uncovered a way more disturbing method of attack. It's like we discovered a whole new, terrifying chapter in cellular warfare. So the old myth was that the amoeba just engulfed our brain cells, swallowing them whole. That process is called phagocytosis. But the reality? Oh, it's so much more aggressive. Scientists now know it uses a process called trogocytosis, which, and this is a wild concept, basically means it nibbles our cells to death. So here's how this nibble-in attack actually works. First, the amoeba extends these little suction cup-like structures to grab onto a neuron. Then, instead of swallowing it, it just takes a bite, ripping off a piece of the cell membrane. This causes the neuron to leak and literally burst open. And it's only then that the amoeba moves in to feast on the debris. This attack is just terrifyingly fast and incredibly destructive.
Okay, so we know the weapon. Now let's trace the path it takes to get to the target. How does a microbe from a local pond make its way to the absolute center of our nervous system? Well, the journey is shockingly direct and frighteningly efficient. It all starts when contaminated water gets forced up the nose. From there, the amoeba latches onto the olfactory nerve, that's your nerve for smell, and basically uses it like a superhighway straight to the brain. It crosses a porous bone called the cribriform plate, and its first major stop inside your skull is the olfactory bulb. And that is why one of the very first and most critical symptoms is a sudden loss of smell and taste.
I know this all sounds incredibly bleak, but there is hope. And this is where the story starts to shift from the problem to the solution. Doctors on the front lines in Kerala are developing some amazing new life-saving ways to fight back. And fighting back starts with knowing the signs. At first, the symptoms just look like the flu, headache, fever, nausea. But the absolutely critical clue is anosmia, that sudden loss of smell. If the infection is caught right there at that stage, there's actually a chance of survival. But if it moves to stage 2, with a stiff neck and seizures, the outlook gets much more grim. A huge piece of this fight is just pure speed. The old way of diagnosing, looking for the amoeba in spinal fluid under a microscope, was slow and, honestly, it often missed the culprit entirely. The new standard being used in Kerala is rapid PCR testing. And this diagnostic leap is a total game changer, letting doctors identify the attacker way faster, at a time when literally every second counts. And that speed allows them to deploy what's called the Kerala Protocol. It's a pioneering, aggressive multi-drug treatment. Think of it like a cocktail. It has the heavy hitter drug amphotericin B, a game changer called miltefosine, a bunch of supporting drugs, and even therapeutic hypothermia, where they cool the patient's body to reduce that deadly brain swelling.
So, the big question is, does it work? Well, just look at this. Historically, the survival rate for this infection was less than 3%. It was pretty much a death sentence. But with this new protocol, combined with that early PCR diagnosis, the survival rate in recent clusters has jumped to nearly 24%. It's still a horrific disease for sure, but that is a massive leap forward. It's real hope where there used to be almost none.
And this leads to a direct call to action from the experts on the ground. The message is crystal clear, especially for any medical professional in India. If a patient comes in with meningitis-like symptoms and they've recently been swimming in fresh water, you have to consider Naegleria. Spreading this awareness is absolutely vital for saving lives. And that leaves us with one final, sobering thought. The conditions that are fueling this outbreak in Kerala, mostly the warming water, they aren't unique to India. As global temperatures keep climbing, we really have to ask ourselves, is this just a regional problem, or is it a preview of a coming global threat?